French President Emmanuel Macron is officially flying into Accra, Ghana soon. Yes, you heard me right. Completely right. The leader of the French Republic will be treated to the highest state welcome on Ghanaian soil. And if your jaw is currently dropping to the floor in absolute disbelief, don't worry. You are matching my exact energy when this intelligence brief landed on my desk. After everything this man just pulled over in Kenya, he has somehow secured a golden invitation to the capital of West Africa, Pan-Africanism. But it's the reason for this state visit that will make your blood boil. Welcome back to the entire Growing Power and Pulse family. If this is your very first time locking in, please go ahead and smash that subscribe button. Join the community that completely tears down the polished, deceptive curtains of international public relations to look at the raw truth of continental self-determination. Tonight, we need to have a serious, deeply frustrating family meeting about a diplomatic bombshell that has left me completely speechless and deeply disappointed. The Ghanaian government has invited Macron to engage in high-level consultations and deliver a keynote address at a major global conference focused entirely on reparatory justice for the transatlantic slave trade. This is the exact same historic issue that the United Nations recently formally declared as an unassailable crime against humanity. Now, think about the profound, almost comedic irony of this step for a single second. This individual being flown in to lecture us on how historical repair is the executive head of European power, whose government actively, explicitly refused to vote in favor of that very United Nations resolution. Now, of course, the corporate media apologies and the elite establishment over in Europe are already scrambling to spin the narrative. They are coming out to say, oh, but France didn't vote against it. They were just neutral, right? They merely abstained. Let's stop the music right there and use our common sense. When it comes to recognizing the institutional trafficking, torture, and systemic commodification of millions of human beings as the gravest historical atrocity ever committed, there is absolutely no such thing as middle ground. Neutrality in a moment like that is a loud, definitive statement. It is an explicit declaration that says we do not recognize your ancestors' suffering as a legitimate historical crime, and we do not validate your right to legal restitution. Okay, yet this is the exact same world leader who is now being given the grand microphone in Accra to dictate the terms of how the continent should navigate financial and moral repair. I don't even know what to call this level of political theater anymore. It transcends standard hypocrisy. It is a full-blown psychological operation. And look, we have to keep it completely real on this channel, right? The Power and Pulse family cannot align. I cannot find a single logical, dignified reason why the exact same politician who turned his back on your administration at the UN is now being given a red carpet platform to play the role of a progressive ally in our own backyard. Let's look past the handshakes and analyze what is actually happening under the surface here. Why is Emmanuel Macron suddenly so desperate to talk about historical repair? Just last month, during an event in Europe, he suddenly started using the word reparations over and over again. Okay? This is a word that has been an absolute taboo in French foreign policy for over 2 centuries. Why the sudden change of heart? Is it a genuine moral awakening? Please, this is purely about survival and strategic positioning. France is currently watching its traditional imperial grip on the continent completely disintegrate. Their military forces have been systematically kicked out of the Sahel region. The local population across West Africa is actively demanding a total dismantle of the colonial monetary structures like the CFA franc. The geopolitical ground is shifting rapidly, and Europe is realizing that Africa now holds massive unyielding leverage. Think about it. The continent controls over 30% of the world's remaining critical minerals. the very cobalt, lithium, and rare earth elements required to power Western world's green energy transition and artificial intelligence infrastructure. Leaders like President Mahama have correctly pointed out that without structural historical justice, the West should no longer get easy access to our raw materials. So, what does Macron do? Instead of offering actual financial restitution, right? Instead of returning the billions in extortion money taken from the places like Haiti or dismantling the neo-colonial trade structures that still strangle local autonomy, he flies into Ghana to offer beautiful empty symbolism. They are talking about forming committees, building monuments, and formally re-appealing centuries-old documents like the 1685 Code Noir, which literally classified black people as movable furniture. This is all well and good for a history museum, but symbolic gestures do not pay the bills of structural development. It is the ultimate public relations stunt. By inviting him to be the keynote speaker, we are essentially allowing the French state to wash the historical stains off its hands for free, transforming a sovereign African project into a Western-managed media circus. This is a core trap that has kept our society structurally dependent for generations. We consistently invite the very forces that engineered our economic containment to sit at the head of the table and design the roadmap for our liberation. It makes absolutely no sense. If a global power explicitly tells you through their official voting record at the United Nations that they do not respect your absolute right to historical justice, why on earth are you giving them a microphone to lecture your citizens on how that justice should look? President Mahama, this one is a major misstep, okay? True territorial autonomy, cultural pride, and local self-reliance cannot be achieved by constantly trying to accommodate the sensibilities of the global north. So, if Macron wanted to attend this conference, he should have been told to sit quietly in the audience, listen to the grievances of the continent, and take notes on what actual restitution requires. He should not be leading the conversation. We have to stop treating these foreign leaders like they are the ultimate managers of our destiny. The era of desperate African nations seeking validation from a European capital must come to an absolute unceremonious end. This conference in Accra was supposed to be a historic monument to Pan-African unity and unyielding legal demands. Instead, it's been diluted into a diplomatic photo op of a leader whose domestic influence is crumbling. The ultimate lesson of this entire situation is that genuine development and true independence are never given. They are taken through the cold application of strategic leverage. We do not need Europe's permission, input, or validation to demand what is rightfully ours. The raw economic and demographic power of the future belongs entirely to this continent. We have the youngest, most innovative population on Earth, and we hold the resources that the entire global economy needs to survive the next century. It is time for our political leadership to catch up to the bold, uncompromising consciousness of the youth on the ground. We need to stop rolling out red carpets for individuals who refuse to stand with us when the votes are counted in New York and Geneva. True repair starts when we respect ourselves enough to lock the gates against enemy rhetoric, okay? The old era of allowing external forces to dictate the terms of our historical narratives is officially over. We are tracking the raw, uncompromised truth of continental self-reliance right here on this broadcast every single day. If you are completely done with the old submissive style of diplomacy that rewards empty symbolism while our actual autonomy is sidelined, if you stand unapologetically for the absolute cultivation of our local economic power, then you need to anchor yourself for this channel. Smash that subscribe button, like and share this video to reach as many Pan-Africanists as possible. And don't forget to drop your thoughts in the comment section respectfully. I am your host, Marie, and I will see you all in the next deep dive.